Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Jay, and this is our Two Cents, where we talk everything boxing, and everybody's entitled to their own opinion. In this episode of The Elephant in the Ring, we'll be talking about the biggest fight in boxing in the last 40 years, the most anticipated fight in boxing in the last 40 years, Earl the True Spence Jr. and Terence T. Bud Crawford. But before we do that, make sure you punch that like and subscribe button to help support the channel. And make sure you let me know and drop it below your 2 cents as I go through the video. Now, on last week, was it last week? I believe it was last week. We watched the biggest fight in boxing that we've seen in the last 40 years. Now, first I want to say thank you to Earl the Truth Spence Jr. and Terence Bud Crawford, because I've never in my life experienced what I experienced waiting for this fight, looking forward to this fight, the buildup of this fight. Everybody was so excited for this fight. The energy for this fight it was unmatched. It was unreal. It was so big. It was so great. It was so awesome. I loved it. And I know a lot of people say it was like, oh, this is like the golden era, like the golden era of boxing. This is like the golden era of boxing. I was thinking in my head, like, is this what y'all used to feel like back in the day about boxing? Is this how excited y'all used to be about fights? Seeing your favorite fighter fight? Is this the type of energy they gave y'all? Is this the type of level of competition that they fought? You know what I'm saying? Is this what they gave y'all back then? Is this what boxing made y'all feel like? Because, you know, I've always watched boxing, the big fights. I used to watch the Tyson fights when I was little. I came up watching all the Mayweather fights. I just was a quote unquote casual, I guess you could say. I probably since maybe Adrian Broner back in, when was that, 2012, 2013? I'm not sure. But that's when I really locked in on a boxer and followed them and watched all their fights and couldn't wait for them to fight and watch all the interviews. That was like the first time I really got into a boxer like that. And also Mayweather. So I feel like as a boxing fan coming up in that era and finally paying attention during that time, you kind of spoiled, right? You would expect every fighter to your best fighter. They beating everybody. They coming in. They doing this. They doing that, and you don't feel like they will ever lose because that's what you seen with Mayweather. But that's past. Mayweather was one of a kind. He was an anomaly. And as we go through the video, I'm gonna make some more comments about Mayweather later on in the video about how he probably would have handled this. But the build up to the fight was great. Everything was great. But the fight. Everything was great, but the fight. Why wasn't the fight great? Well, y'all seen the fight. I mean, it doesn't matter if you was a Terence Crawford fan or Earl Spence fan. Obviously, I'm a Terence Crawford and an Earl Spence fan. Of course, I like Earl Spence better than I like Terence Crawford, but I've watched all the Terence Crawford's fights. I make Terence Crawford content. I do all of that, right? Obviously, a fan of Terence Crawford, but I'm a bigger fan of Spence. Like, that's one of my favorite fighters. And everybody want to be like, oh, you got a bias, you got a this, you got a that. It's always a bias. You're always going to have a bias. I can be objective, but I will always have a bias because this is the fighter that I like. So Spence. Now, Spence lost. Obviously, he lost terribly. He did not come to perform like he should have performed. He looked weight drained. He had no power, no energy. It looked like Crawford came into the ring as the bigger man. And let me say this before I say that. Let me say this. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, you can't say that because you got to give Crawford his credit. You can't take away his credit. So every time you hear somebody talk about this fight, they have to start off with, oh, I don't want to take no credit away from Crawford. Let me tell you guys a secret. If somebody starts off with what they don't want to do, they're about to do it. So if somebody say, I'm not trying to be rude, but they're about to be rude. If somebody say, with all due respect, they're about to be disrespectful. If I have to say, well, not to take Crawford credit away, I'm about to take Crawford's credit away. I'm not trying to take Crawford's credit away, though. I'm just stating the facts and the obvious of what we seen in the fight. And if that takes Crawford's credit away, that's not on me. Me stating facts and the observation does not mean I'm taking Crawford's credit away. What people not understanding is that two things can be true. Crawford fought a great fight, and Errol Spence fought a terrible fight. Two things can be true. So let's stop with the whole, I'm not trying to take Terence Crawford credit away. Listen, if what I say takes Terence Crawford's credit away, then it takes Terence Crawford's credit away. So back to the fight. As I was watching the fight, I mean, literally after the fight, I was at a fight party with my brothers. We was having a good time. We had our shirts on. We was taking pictures. We was crunk. After that first round, we was all sitting down with our head in our hands because we couldn't believe what we were watching. I couldn't believe how great Terence Crawford looked in that fight. And I couldn't believe how horrible Errol Spence looked in that fight. I couldn't believe it. It's still processing in my brain, to be honest with you. But Terence Crawford looked great. He was perfect for that fight. Let's just say he did everything he was supposed to do. He trained like he was supposed to train. He was with Victor Conte. He did the snack. He did everything he needed to do. He put the right clauses and things in the contract. He did everything he needed to do to come out on top in this fight. And Errol Spence. What was going on with Errol Spence? We may never know. All we can do is speculate because Spence is not going to come out and say anything. Now, after the fight, as a fan of Spence, I felt like you better come out and say something, man. Listen, I was like, man, he owes us an explanation. Like, that's how I was feeling. Part of me was feeling like that. And then part of me was like, well, you know what I'm saying? It was bound to happen because Spence been not able to make the weight. Crawford knew that Spence been not able to make the weight. That's why he told y'all the plan. When I beat him, they're gonna say he was too weak. What are we saying? He was too weak. Listen, the first time I watched the fight, I just was devastated. I felt like Errol Spence didn't even land no punches. That's what it looked like to me the first time I watched the fight. After some time, I rewatched the fight and I seen Errol Spence was landing punches. He was fighting like himself, but a slower version, a slower, less powerful version of himself. And it wasn't even really him. I don't know what he was fighting version of that was. That's probably the worst fight Spence has ever fought in his whole entire life. If not the worst, I'm sure it's top 3. I can almost guarantee. I don't know. I'm just saying. This is my 2 cents. So he looked horrible in that fight. And Terence Crawford knew that he outsmarted him, but not really though. But I'm gonna talk about that later on in the video. Stay tuned. So I'm gonna make my point. I'm gonna tie it all together, but just stay tuned. Make sure you watch the video all the way through because I'm gonna tie it all together. So Terence Crawford did everything he needed to do. Errol Spence, I don't know what was going on with Errol Spence. It's a lot of speculation. Let's run them down. 1, he was weight drained. Now listen, don't be in my well, you can drop your 2 cents below and let me know. But I'm just saying, I ain't making excuses. You don't want to give Crawford his credit. I've already covered that. If you feel like I'm not giving Crawford his credit, click off the video then. Because I'm giving my 2 cents. If you don't want to hear my 2 cents, then click off the video. If you feel like, oh, you ain't giving Crawford his credit. But listen, just watch it all the way to the end. It'll make more sense before you want to be doing all that. So let's run down the speculation list. Spence was weight drained. Spence was drugged. Spence was injured. He couldn't spar for 6 weeks. And since he couldn't spar for 6 weeks and work out like he needed to, he couldn't cut the weight like he needed to. Spence was running in the mountains the week of the fight in the dry Las Vegas heat. I don't know if Spence ever ran in mountains, But you cannot run in mountains the week of your fight. Your body has to adjust to that. Let me tell you a personal story. I was a track athlete my whole life for 20 plus years, from second grade to my junior year in college. I stopped running for the school my junior year in college, and I started training professionally in El Paso, in the dry heat, in the mountains, running 5 miles in the mountain, training in the mountains, sprinting up mountains, doing all of that. I know what that's like. Your body has to adjust to that. You're not used to that. Errol, why you running? Why are you running in the mountains the week of your fight? Your body don't have time to recover for that. Some people say his girl poisoned his drink. We all know that's some bullshit, but I'm just running down the speculation list of the things that I heard, right? Some people say Crawford was on steroids and had loaded gloves, right? This is all the speculation. These are all the quote unquote excuses that's coming out. Oh, Spence got neurological delayed. What was it? Delayed neurological damage from the car accident. All of these things people are saying. Do I believe all of these things are true? No, of course I don't believe all of these things are true. Do I believe it may be some truth to some of these things? Yes, I do. I do believe it may be some truth to some of the things that they're saying. Did Spence look weight drained and dehydrated? Yes, he did. He could barely talk before the interview. He wasn't even sweating when he was punching the mitts with Derrick James. He wasn't sweating. And when a boxer is not sweating before they get in the ring, it's a bad sign. They're not even warmed up. This man was so dehydrated, he couldn't even sweat no more. He was off balance and off when he was punching the mitts with Derrick James. Derrick James stopped him. He was like, stop it, that's enough. You almost punched me in the face. So what is the elephant in the ring, Jay? And this might be unpopular opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. And I love Errol Spence. I'm a huge fan. Got the t-shirts and everything. I'm about to go order some hats if they still up. Matter of fact, Spence going to drop the revenge tee for the rematch. I'll buy one because I'm a support. Do I think Errol Spence will beat Terence Crawford at 154? I have no idea, to be honest with you. Do I think it will be a more competitive fight? Absolutely. That's all I want to see. I just want to see a more competitive fight. I want to see you fight. I want to see you have a chance. You didn't have a chance. Errol Spence didn't have a chance to win that fight. So unpopular opinion and the elephant in the ring is Errol Spence should have walked away from that fight after Terence Crawford walked away from the negotiations the first time. That's the elephant in the ring. Errol Spence should have been like, F it, dropped them belts and moved up to 154 and stopped playing with Crawford because he was playing too many games. He was playing too many games. And I'm speaking as a fan because as a business person, I get it. 30 M's, whatever y'all made back in 30, 40, 50 million, whatever you made off this fight, I get it. It was a financial decision because this could not have been a career decision that you made for your legacy. But then again, let's talk about Spence. And let's talk about Spence's fan base because I'm a fan. Because I was excited when he made the fight. But in hindsight, he should have walked away. And I really felt like, man, stop fooling with Crawford. Just walk away. You see what he doing. You don't want to do business with a person like that. It's poor character. You don't want to be fooling with people that act like that, that'll string you along, negotiate, and walk away. Don't deal with people like that. Don't deal with people like that. But Spence wanted to give the fans what they wanted. And obviously it's what the fans wanted. They made $30 million. They had a $20 million gate. They sold 700, 800,000 pay-per-views. It's what the fans wanted. But Spence, it ain't what the fans wanted. That's not what we wanted, to see you in there drained, getting beat up on, and losing to Terence Crawford. That's not what the fans wanted. We wanted you to be competitive. We wanted you to be able to compete. That's what we wanted, Earl. That's what we wanted. Is it selfish? Are we being selfish as fans? Because that's what we wanted to see you at your best. Are we being selfish? That's the elephant in the ring. Is he shouldn't have took this fight, y'all. Not at 147. And Earl's fans, we felt like he could overcome anything. He made us believe he could overcome anything. And I still believe that. I believe he could overcome this bad fight and come back and have another one. I still believe that he can overcome. A loss don't make you not great. The loss, if you continue to get better and do better, will make you more great. So this can make Spence more great if he show up like he's supposed to in the 154-pound division. If all the speculation and rumors we hearing about him having the neurological damage from the car accident and all of it, if that's not true, or if it's not true to the extent that they want us to believe is true, or if Spence can come back, yeah, we see Spence a little slower. He's not moving his feet like he used to, but he's a fundamental fighter. So the fundamentals, he's great at the fundamentals of fighting. So the fundamentals can still carry him throughout the 154 division. It's a whole bunch of people. He could probably still go beat up Keith Thurman. And everybody was like, oh, and that's another thing. Oh, he ain't fought in 15, 16 months. We as fans believing that you not finna fight for a year and a half and come fight the top welterweight in a division and beat him. What were we thinking? What were we thinking? What were we thinking? But at the same time, Spence wasn't going to make the weight to fight, let's say, a Thurman and then come fight a Crawford. If he would have tried to fight Thurman, who's not to say he wouldn't have been draining? Thurman would have beat his ass like that. And then we really, really would have been sick. So it's as a Errol fan, I'm so in between, man. As a Crawford fan, congratulations, you getting the quote unquote treatment you deserve, blah, 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 blah. My only issue is that you didn't give the fight a shot like it should have had a shot, Terence. Because you want to be so smart and slick and all this stupid stuff. You want to weight drain them and this and that. But then you can't say nothing to Terence because Spence agreed to it. He even wrote in the Twitter how he felt played. He even wrote on his Twitter how he felt played. He put it on the Twitter account. He let us know. He said something about it twice. Matter of fact, I'm going to go see if I can find those tweets and I'm going to post them in the video so you can read them. He let us know that he got played. And when he said that, I was thinking he was talking about money. But now in hindsight, ain't no telling what he agreed to. The coin flip was ridiculous enough. Terence made himself the A side. And Spence let him do it. He sold those belts for 30 mil. I mean, what you think? What you think? Was it worth it? Errol, you traumatized your whole fan base. But you didn't lie to us. You ain't lied to us, Errol. You told us it was going to be a masterful performance and a one-sided ass whooping, and that's exactly what it was. That's exactly what it was. It just wasn't true like we thought. It just wasn't true like we thought. So now we got to sit around and watch all these Terence Crawford fans gallivant all across YouTube and the YouTube boxing world, this and this and that, when we all know something wasn't right. And if I was Terence Crawford, maybe not. But I want to say if I was in Terence, let me say this. If I was in Terence Crawford's position, not if I was Terence Crawford, if I was in Terence Crawford's position, I wouldn't be too happy about that win. I wouldn't be too happy about that win because Spence didn't come as Spence. And I want to be Errol Spence so that nobody can take my credit away. Nobody can say Spence was drained. Nobody can say Spence was injured. Nobody can say any of those things and I'm just a flat out champion. But you just want to be a champion by any means necessary. And that's not a competitor. That's a chump. That ain't a champion. That's a chump. Just to give my 2 cents. But congratulations to Terence Crawford. But we all have to recognize and say that got an asterisk by it. And I'm gonna have to do another elephant in the ring video because it's a whole bunch of elephants in the ring about this fight. It's a whole bunch of elephants in the ring about this fight. But this elephant in the ring episode is about how Errol Spence should have walked away from that fight. Just to give my 2 cents. Would I have walked away from 30 million? I don't know. I can't really say, to be honest with you. Because I know, one, I'm a competitor. I'm coming to give my best every time. And obviously that's what Spence did. Spence came and gave his best. Congratulations on the financial security and generational wealth you have secured for your family. Earl, I hope we come back in 154. I hope y'all go back to the drawing board. I hope y'all go see the mistakes y'all made, get it together, come back to 154. More fights, more belts, strap season at 154. Whatever you're gonna do, we don't know. But we need to know. I need to know. Or I want to know at least. I just and Earl just got played, man. It seems like he got played. He let Crawford beat him in the negotiations, and it showed up in the fight. It showed up in the performance. See, people not understanding that all those things that go outside the ring, they pop up in the performance. Some people are mentally tough enough to overcome it. Some people can do it, but you can't mentally overcome being weight drained. And a lot of people want to be like, oh, Spence did the same thing he always do. Jab, jab, overhand. Yeah, but it was slow. It didn't matter if you knew what Spence was finna do. You kept hearing so many people saying how he's predictable and they know what he's going to do and they know his pattern, but they couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop it. And if you go back and check my other video, the disrespect to Errol Spence that I did a while ago, maybe I'll post it at the end so you can click on and watch it. I talked about that. How you can know what I'm doing and I can still do it. I'll be great. Just like Michael Jordan can be like, all right, I'm going to cross over right, cross over left, and I'm going to spin and do a layup. And you can't stop it. He just told you exactly what he going to do. And that's the type of fighter we was expecting to see when he got in the ring with Terence Crawford. As a fan, this is just a difficult loss to accept because we know what was up. We know that wasn't Errol Spence. We know that wasn't the best. That was the worst. You beat the worst Errol Spence to be undisputed, and you want to run around, do interviews, do berets, the Terence Crawford champion tour. We ain't even have. Let's have the rematch. Should we not have the rematch first? What happens if Errol beats Terence in the rematch? Then what? Then we just nothing. Do I think Errol will beat Terence in a rematch? I don't know. I'm not worried about him beating him. I want a more competitive fight. If Terence Crawford fought like he fought the first fight, the rematch, I don't know if anybody can beat Terence Crawford fighting like that. I don't know if anybody will beat Terence Crawford if he continues to fight like that. So the elephant in the ring is Errol Spence should have walked away from Terence when he walked away from that fight because he was playing mind games. And I watch Terence Crawford interviews now. They're not the same like he was interviewing before. He's like a completely different person. And that's what I mean. And that's why I can say I'm a fan of Terence Crawford. I don't like Terence Crawford, though. Like, I like Errol Spence, even though he doesn't make the greatest decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a man of his word, I can say. To his own detriment, though. He's a person of his word to his own detriment, obviously. So Terence Crawford, even him yelling at Charlo in the ring when he was fighting Spence, that's all mind game. He know how to rile these guys up. I'm watching him do it. It's all psychology. I'm watching him do it. Just like I'm watching him do, he's running the same plays, y'all. Just like I'll fight Charlo and this and that, and I'll fight Canelo at once at a catch weight. And then when these people don't want to do and meet these outrageous demands, you're going to say they ducking you. But I digress. This video is about the elephant in the ring, which is Errol the True Spence Jr. should not have taken this fight. He should not have played these type of games with Terence Crawford. Why would Terence Crawford play these type of games? And I'm trying to give you a big payday. I'm trying to give you a big payday. And then Terence Crawford walk up to Spence at the end of the fight saying, without you, this never would have happened. Man, get out of here. Of course it never would have happened without me. I had to agree to all the dumb shit. I had to agree to all your demands in the contract negotiations. I had to do a coin flip for the walkout. Talking about without me, this never would have happened. Man, if you don't get on my face. But I don't know their relationship. They both made big money. Hey, you make $30 million with somebody, we best friends. We best friends after that. What's up? Let's go out and get some lunch. I think on the Breakfast Club, he said he text Spence to see how he doing. I bet you did. I bet you did. I bet you text Spence to see how he doing. Man just made you 30 M's plus, 30 M's plus. And you still BSing the man, wasn't straight up, wasn't real, trying to do all the tricks and all of that. Errol Spence should have walked away from that fight. He should not have played those games with Terence Crawford. But Errol Spence got his biggest payday. That's what fighters fight for. That's what they trying to get to. But what I'm not understanding, and the pattern I'm starting to see, is why do these top fighters have to make so many sacrifices to get their big payday? Why are the fighters doing this? Why is Charlo going up 2 weight classes to fight Canelo to get his big payday? But that's another video. That's another video, because I got to talk about that. I got a couple more Elephant in the Ring videos coming out, because these things need to be discussed. Nobody's saying this stuff. Yeah, of course we think Charlo can beat Canelo, but do we? Are we going to fall for that again? Charlo also ain't fought in over a year. He going up 2 weight classes. He coming off an injury. These are things we got to take into consideration now. He fighting top competition. He not going up and fighting nobody. So I want y'all to let me know what you think by dropping your 2 cents below in the comment section. Be sure to help support the channel by punching that like and subscribe button, and take the time to click on the video that YouTube suggests to you, or take a look at my feature series on the channel, The Elephant in the Ring, and take a look at my other Elephant in the Ring videos. I'm Jay, and this is our 2 cents. Follow us on Twitter at 2 cents 20, and follow us on IG at 2 cents boxing. Stay tuned for my 2 cents in the next video. Peace.